bit tight in the chest. Did they get bigger again? Huh?
Hello, resident World War III fan here, and I'm tired of being a pussy gamer. I need to become the most seasoned of veterans. That's why I'm going to be playing Halo and Call of Duty, because I need to get hard. I can't. How am I supposed to be built different when I'm dropping a 0.4 KD ratio in every shooter I play? So starting today, I'm going to enrich myself in shooters, so my KD can be higher than Adolf Hitler's. When you think of America, you think of three things: McDonald's, obesity, and guns. Games like Call of Duty and Halo are some of the biggest Western franchises of all times, and have gone on to receive critical acclaim and tons of commercial success. And the game to start all of this shooter shit was... There's shooting. I promise. Doom was truly the first modern first-person shooter. Doom used the PC hardware to craft these maze-like 2.5D environments that were open and fulfilling. These environments are filled up with little collectibles and demon-like enemies that you could blast open with some badass music. And the game really made you feel like a god. Now, Doom's massive success would lead to tons of sequels, with the most recent being Doom Eternal, an absolute wonder of a game. The movement here is fantastic. I highly recommend to play Doom Eternal if you haven't. It's just so good. Doom, of course, would fly off the shelves, although it did spark some controversy because of its violence. Another first-person shooter game came out around this time called Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem would bring that Doom-like gameplay, but this time with loads of crude 90s humor, like penis jokes and sex jokes and, I don't know, piss jokes. Duke Nukem is a pretty great first effort, but in my opinion, Duke Nukem 3D would be the best Duke Nukem game. The gameplay for 3D was rock solid, with by far the best level design in the series, and the humor...
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care. Jerry.
Now, with the most recent entry in the mainline Duke Nukem series, we have Duke Nukem Forever. It sucks ass. But anyways, let's move on to the next major shooter. Tom Clancy's. Who the fuck is that guy? So if we're talking about the best authors of all time, I gotta say Tom Clancy's gotta be up there. He wrote such classics as Catcher in the Rye and Red Storm Rising. Now, what happens when Ubisoft got a little hard for Tom Clancy? Well, they would combine war with rainbows, and we would get Rainbow Six Siege for the PlayStation 1. A game that is quite interesting, as it was one of the first first-person shooters to focus on more cover/stealth-based combat. It was more realistic. Forget I ever said that. Now, let's talk about James. GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64 is a classic from front to back. Incredible level design, fantastic music, and some of the worst fucking draw distance I've ever seen in a shooter. Like, what is this? I know it's on the Nintendo 64, but I feel like they've just forgot that you can't see shit and started putting buildings and enemies in the distance for some reason. The game is very smartly designed, but you just can't take advantage of it on the original hardware. Now, using the donkey method, GoldenEye can be a really fun game, but I would be lying if I said it aged very well. However, GoldenEye was a massive success, and I'm pretty sure is like the best video game adaptation of a movie ever. GoldenEye would receive a spiritual successor in the form of Perfect Dark, developed by Rareware. Perfect Dark would receive some of the highest praise I've seen a game get. Like, look at this Metacritic score. No, I have not played Perfect Dark, but from the gameplay I've seen, it looks pretty good. It just kind of seems like a more gritty version of... Did I just say gritty? I feel like it's a more gritty version of GoldenEye, and I kind of like the vibe it gives off. So the PS2 and Xbox are now on the market. So it's time to see the biggest revolution in first-person shooter history. Glover. Oh shit. Halo. Halo Combat Evolved is one of the greatest video games ever. The graphics, incredible. The gameplay, exquisite. The story, pretty damn good. The AI, fucking awful. Halo is a fantastic game, but like, everyone knows that. The open-ended stage design is so good, and the amount of freedom this game gave you for 2001 was impressive, and even nowadays it's pretty impressive. being able to just run all over these massive maps and blast open fucking aliens, it's so good. Halo was also one of the first games to try out this online multiplayer thing out, and this would alter how first-person shooters and games were designed forever. The online in Halo worked, which is pretty impressive considering the game was in 2001. It was not perfect, but thankfully Bungie, the developers, would continue to improve it. Halo 2 and Halo 3 are both just as great as the original, with Halo 3 being arguably better than Halo 1. Nowadays, we look at Halo and go, it's bad. Halo's influence was already starting to show, with games like Far Cry, which would continue to give more and more freedom to the player. But arguably the biggest innovation in freedom and open-ended design was Rockstar Games' Grand Theft Auto 3. GTA 3 was a huge sandbox open-world game, where you could basically fuck around for hours. Sure, the game had a story, but nobody cared, because they were all too busy messing around with the goofy fucking cheat codes. Now, did GTA 3 have good graphics? Not really. Did it have good, fun, and creative shooting mechanics? Hell no. But what it did have was a lot of charm and a huge world. Now, of course, the GTA franchise would sort of fade to obscurity, not really ever receiving any major sequels or anything. Don't look up the best-selling games on Wikipedia.com. Now we reach the 7th generation of video game consoles, where Nintendo said, fuck you, Sony and Microsoft, we are making dildos, and they fucked off. This left Sony with the PlayStation 3 and Microsoft with the Xbox 360. This was the golden age era of online experiences and first-person shooters. Now, Sony had Resistance, I guess. Yeah, Sony didn't really have much in terms of exclusive shooters, but what it did have was Call of Duty. So did Xbox, but, you know, it had Call of Duty. Call of Duty is the online first-person shooter game. Now, this is the age where COD was fun and actually made well-made games with fun progression. Nowadays, we have microtransactions, bugs, and some shitty-ass maps. But peak COD was truly special. Going online to play some Modern Warfare with the homies was truly an experience that only legends can speak of. COD has had so many entries that I can't even imagine trying to talk about them all, but I'll try to list them off. There are World War II COD games, there are modern boots on the ground games, there are World War II COD games, there are futuristic COD games, and did you know that they even made World War II COD? But besides COD, there was Battlefield, which focused on having massive, large-scaled battlefields. If you've never played Battlefield 1 or any old school Battlefield game, I definitely highly recommend it. They are really fun. But Rockstar's big game this generation was Red Dead Redemption. Imagine Grand Theft Auto, but cowboys. No, I'm simplifying it a lot. Red Dead is a wonderfully written game with some fantastic characters. The world is huge and beautiful, and Deadeye is a very fun mechanic. So, overall, good job, Rockstar. Epic Games, you know the Fortnite guys. Now, before they made your 11-year-old brother's favorite game, they made Gears of War. Gears of War was a cover-based third-person shooter exclusive for the Xbox, and was one of the very few online third-person shooters at the time. This means it touched a very big gap for a lot of players, and Gears of War was seen as a very solid game. I never really gotten into it because I had a PS3 at the time, but from what I've seen, it looks pretty solid. Naughty Dog, famous for making Jack and Daxter, Uncharted, and this little small zombie game called The Last of Us. Alright, first, let's talk about the Uncharted games. The first game has aged, but it's still a fun, over-the-top shooter. Uncharted 2 takes the first game and pretty much dunks on it. Better level design, more entertaining characters, and some of the most insane action set pieces in any video game. And Uncharted 3 is alright. Not bad, just kind of forgettable. But Uncharted 4 is the first and only Uncharted game that, in my opinion, actually has a good and meaningful story. It's a basic one, but the characters in Uncharted 4 carry the game with their charisma, and seeing a more mature Nathan Drake taking the helm is pretty damn cool to see. But yeah, overall, the Uncharted games are pretty great. Oh yeah, The Last of Us. I'm going to make a video on it, but for now, good job, Naughty Dog. Overall, the 7th generation was the peak of shooter games. Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, Naughty Dog, Far Cry, Crysis, all these games were at their peak during this generation. Now, the 8th generation. It's pretty weird. Doom Eternal is incredible, fast-paced, and difficult, but damn, it is rewarding. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an incredible video game, Like, the graphics alone make this game great, but on top of that, it has a good story. Like, damn, Rockstar. However, online shooters have fallen off hard this generation. Gears of War is kind of mid nowadays, Halo has fallen off the cliff after Bungie left, and COD is COD. Overwatch was great, but over time it got more and more toxic, and don't even get me started on Overwatch 2. Now, arguably, the biggest shooter games this generation is Fortnite and PUBG. Both of these are battle royales, and battle royales have pretty much revolutionized how most online games work nowadays. The idea of competing against 100 other players and being the last one left is a super addicting concept, and you know, PUBG took a realistic approach. Meanwhile, Fortnite adds a building concept, which is just a wonderful idea. I mean, imagine you're getting shot at from the back, and then you can just build now, so you're at the advantage. However, this caused a pretty big skill gap, and playing Fortnite nowadays is just cancer. I don't even hate Fortnite. It's actually a very well-made game, but nowadays it feels more like a commercial product than a video game. In conclusion, shooters are an extremely saturated market. There are hundreds of these things around because they're fun. Shooting things just feels fun. I should have not fucking said. Point is, they're fun, but oversaturated. Goodbye.
Talking to Randall, it's not letting me go. Are you ready?
You celebrate Christmas?
You think God would celebrate such unimportant dates?
No, never mind.
No, I'm messing with you. Before I was born a god, I was born a human. And I would celebrate those traditions and those dates with my children and my family, as I did a human.
So if you were born a human, then how did you become a god?
I was working a terrible job. They had me serving all these kinds of mortals who I would just give badges to. I would feed into their egos. Eventually, I was pushed into the abyss by the god of life, and he gave me his power, and I became a god.
So you like replaced the original life?
Yes, but what does that have to do with Randall?
Well, it has to do with Randall. Well, see, Randall, we met on Christmas. He gave me this gift. It was like a bottle of drugs or something, and it said, "Take this in danger." So what I'm thinking is, what if he isn't evil? What if death is controlling him?
It's a trap. Don't trust the man who wants your head on a platter.
But what if it's not a trap? What if he's not a villain? And I know you talked to him, and he's acting all tough. He's acting emotional over the fact that his friend is dead or whatever. I don't know. I think he's trying to save me from death.
Maybe. He's trying to manipulate you, dumbass. So don't fall for it.
Okay. You're right. I'll talk to you later. Same spot.